Hi, my name is Candace. Hi, hello, everyone. My name is Candace Miles, but I go by Coach C. I am the founder, the CEO, the lead coach of No Gap Consulting, a leadership coaching company where sorry. Where I am empowering the next generation of Black women who are entering into leadership for their very first time with the skills, the resources, and the tools they need in order to succeed. I'm also, too, representing the millennial generation. So drop a 2K in the chat if you are a millennial. But I have my co host here, Cynthia. Hey, Cynthia.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Yes, I am Cynthia Haley, also known as Tip Energy Coach. And we are ready to get this thing going here with the Lighting the Torch series. I am bringing the Gen X perspective. And I also want to share with you all that I am a career coach and I specialize in helping corporate professionals elevate their energy while elevating their careers. And I'm excited to be here with my co host, Candace.
Yes, and for those who are joining us for the first time, this is our Lighting the Torch chat series where two generations we are discussing topics that we all go through. From our career challenges to professional growth, where we talk candidly about our experiences from generation to generation, but we don't leave you without a tip at the end. This is where we really light each other's torch from generation to generation. So, Cynthia, what we talking about today?
We are going to dive into a very hot topic. Talk about lighting the torch. I feel like I'm going to go street for a second. This is going to be lit. Um, they probably would. My child would say I'm corny, but
I'll say it.
so let's think about this modern times for a second. There's a lot going on in the media around politics, the recent debate, and out of that came this hot topic around Black jobs or Hispanic jobs. Basically, jobs having a label based on how one identifies. And, Candace and I, we took that recent topic and really thought about it and said, how are our jobs reflecting who we are? And we posed the question to our audience: does your job reflect who you really are? And we want to talk about that. And when I think about that topic, it could go a number of ways. When we think about who we are and how we identify, we think about our core values. We think about, things that are important to us at different stages in our lives. Different generations consider certain aspects of their lives to have different degrees of priority, right?
Mhm.
And that's how we identify. But then there are others who have a perspective on what jobs we should have based on their perception of how we identify.
Mhm.
So I really want to talk about it and get our audience thoughts on how do you identify and does your job reflect who you are? What are your thoughts, Candace?
Well, first, I still don't understand what are black jobs. I have been trying to look in the dictionary, Google, and I still don't understand exactly what black jobs are.
Because that doesn't exist.
It doesn't. It does not exist.
Hispanic
But
jobs don't exist. Women jobs don't exist. If you have the skill set and are capable of doing a job, then it's your job. It's not a labeled job. Um, but I think it touches on something we discussed way back when
mhm.
around DEI, unconscious biases, and the miseducation of a lot of people, when they think about trying to brand you or label you and only offer you opportunities based on that perceived identity.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Just thinking about as we were talking about this whole topic, and I know I briefly kind of discussed with you where there was a certain there were certain areas in leadership that I was often put in the position to oversee, particularly when it came to events or team engagement. Everything was like, boom, go to Candace, boom, go to Candace, go to Candace, go to Candace. Yes, I'm great at that. That's something that I definitely do enjoy, especially I know that that's a strength of mine. However, that's not all I can do.
Right.
Like, when it comes to being any type of leader, everyone has their strengths. But for me, it's like, no, I can strategize. I'm a huge strategic thinker where I can look at something, reverse engineer it, see things that people can't see, which oftentimes that was in conversations that were being had behind the scenes, but never being publicly acknowledged, when it came to that. But I was watching actually earlier Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. He did an interview with Megan Good, but she literally was talking about when she got into industry and the moment that we all remember when she chopped off her hair and she went short. And she said the reason why she did that is because she was always seen as the good girl next door, the beautiful girl, the pretty girl. But she was like, I'm more than that. And she was
Right.
boxed in. And I think that once someone comes into whatever scene they come into your life, so whatever scene in corporate, in your if you work a nonprofit, whatever scene people enter into your life, that's kind of where they hold you at,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not thinking that you can do more than what
Mhm.
that is.
Exactly. I think women and people of color probably experience that a lot more than any other class, right?
Mhm.
Think about the example I like to use is the secretary or the admin. Because you are a woman, they automatically think you're the scribe for the team meeting. And even more so, I'll speak personal experience and my feeling when being tasked that was, okay, I'm the black woman. I'm the only black woman in here. Why am I being the one asked to always scribe or capture the meeting notes or send out the schedule or this, that, and the third, right? It's an unconscious bias to assume that that's the job for Cynthia. That's the job for the black woman. That's the job for a woman. A man is not going to take meeting notes. And I will say to the audience, if you are a man, if you identify as a male and you have ever been asked to take meeting notes and send them out, let me know because I really want to know because every environment I've been in, it's been targeted to a woman or a woman of color. And we really need to peel the layer back on this one and start talking about why. Why this happens and how we can overcome these stereotypes and these biases that exist because
Mhm.
it's not who we are.
Mhm.
We are
100%.
beyond that. You see the TikToks, you see the growing videos out with doctors, lawyers, engineers, like, is this the black job? Is this what you're referring to? Because that stereotype has to be dismissed.
Yeah, and I love our culture because we turn limit. We can say limit and eliminate, but it really, like I said, it really prompted everything that you were saying. Like when it comes to the note taker, yes, most of the time when you're sitting in a meeting, there is probably a female that's taking the notes. And I get it. We probably are very detailed. That's a strength, but also too that gives that actually a limit. It takes away from the males that are in the room that is able to develop that skill when it comes to note taking, while always going to this is the person that can do it. I also seen like when it comes to team support, office management, emotional support
Right.
always gets thrown into like the females to be able to do that, and it's like, well, no, again, it's taking away the opportunity for the males to actually step in and build those skills, especially if you are in leadership.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always have someone come in and be captain. I'm not going to say it here, but you know,
I know what you're saying.
you can't always have, a female come in and do that, because that really diminishes it. Really, honestly, also too takes away from your credibility when it comes to doing certain tasks and you not being asked to. And sometimes maybe raise your hand, be like, you know what, I'll take it this time.
Yeah, you touched on like that whole nurturer job, I'll call it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And who is deemed as the nurturer. And if you really take it back to the 50s, the 30s, you know where I'm going. Who was the nurturer?
Look, you see.
Right. Yes. Who was the nurturer? We know who that is. And it's unfortunate that the way things were have a tendency to still show up in today's workplace and the work environment. And we have to be able to combat that. But I want to take a second and kind of flip it in the sense of how we identify with our jobs, right? Does your job reflect who you are? Aside from the Black jobs or the Hispanic jobs or the woman jobs, how about when we self-identify with certain roles because we get so caught up in that particular job, right? An example might be you've been on a job as, I'm going to say, a team lead, right? For the past 10 years, and you grinding every single day and you work. And so you start to identify with the job of a team lead. That becomes who you are. Somebody asks, hey, Candace, what do you do? Who are you outside of, the soccer field when you come and bring your kid? Oh, I'm a team lead at X company.
Mm-hmm.
You start to identify in these roles because you're doing it day in and day out. But is that really who you are? And how can you start to change up how you identify with other people? What's your elevator pitch? Are you just going to identify with the job you hold because you're comfortable in it? Or how can you rebrand and really pitch yourself to say who you really are and not fall in the trap of a label?
Yeah, and I think that's huge when it comes to your growth in general. Like, your growth in general is your responsibility. However, if your only identity is I'm this team lead, that's your ceiling.
Yeah.
You can never see past that because you've identified so heavily in that title, when in reality, I always used to tell my team, I said, outside these four walls, I'm Candace. I'm not your boss. I'm absolutely Candace, and I cannot emphasize that enough, that you have to understand exactly who you are outside of the title.
Exactly.
And if not, the title is going to become your identity. I think
Mhm.
that's a lot when it comes to I mean, we all wear a lot of titles. We do. We simply do.
Mhm.
But if you allow that title to become your true identity, then you're not going to be able to move past anything until you have that aha moment. And honestly, some people never have that aha moment.
Yeah, you're right. It's one of those things too. I was reading up that when you start to identify with the job itself, it can lead to things like burnout. To your point, you feel like you're at a ceiling, you can't go any further. You are you're just falling into that bubble, and this is who I am. Instead, what you can do is learn how to articulate your skill set. What are you good at? How are you going to introduce yourself? in the corporate space. If you're connecting with someone and trying to network and build new bridges, then you have to start articulating your strengths. And even if you use an assessment like Strengths Finders, to start capturing your top 5 strengths, use that to build your elevator pitch and articulate who you are versus labeling yourself with a title. Because if you're going to label yourself, guess what? Somebody else is going to label you as well with a title that you don't align with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was definitely agree with that. I literally was having a conversation with someone who was who's in a job search right now looking for a position, and they feel like, hey, I'm not getting anywhere, getting a second interview or anything like that. And it's like, well, the the way that things are being viewed right now, you have to identify what your strengths are and how you're going to be an asset versus, I don't want to say old school, but I'm just going to say a few years ago, it wasn't like that.
Right.
Being able to say, hey, I have 80% of my strength is I'm able to I'm able to strategically think about such and such. 20% I'm able to, and even identify what your weaknesses are. Hey, I'm 20% when it comes to problem solving, because maybe you don't even know
Right.
when it comes to that. But having I've also said, like, having I told her, I was like, yeah, you should definitely have a one pager and like think about that, but not just have that one pager for yourself, but have that one pager where you're able to introduce yourself in meetings to somebody and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
my name is Candace. Hey, here's who I am. I'll see you in that meeting. And now what you've done is you've let them know, like, I don't care what anybody else has said, because perceptions, let's just be honest, people will talk about who you are from their version or what of your encounter, that will actually persuade somebody else's perception of you. So having that one pager also too is definitely a great thing that will be able to actually highlight those different contributions that you were talking about.
Absolutely. And thank you, Neil, for chiming in on the Facebook platform. And kudos to you, being able to embrace what you do during the day and being able to speak to that in totality, as you say, of your experiences in life. We all have to get to that point where we own the strengths that we bring to the table. We own the skills that we bring to the table. See the value in what you bring and what you offer so that others can also see that and move away from only extending opportunities that they consider a Black job, so that you can step away from this bubble and not experience the burnout, the stress of, feeling like your limits um, have are not capable of expanding, right? Like you've just hit that glass ceiling and there's nothing more left for you. Own who
So,
you
so
are. Go for it.
no, I was just gonna say, so what for the employee who doesn't have that, who hasn't built that confidence yet to be able to speak up for themselves? Like, what would be something to let them know about how speaking up for them, especially if they are maybe a year in the organization and still trying to get their footing?
Mm-hmm. I always say baby steps, right? When someone who is not quite there yet in the confidence space, or maybe they're just an introvert and aren't comfortable speaking up for themselves, baby steps. If you are in a one on one and you have 30 minutes with your manager, go in prepared to speak to at least one win that you've had for the week or over those 2 weeks, whatever that time frame is. Get comfortable speaking to that one win in that meeting with your boss. And that starts to build confidence in speaking about what you're good at. And it also allows your boss to see your growth, see the growth
Mhm.
in you being able to speak up for yourself. And then when you start to meet people, take it a step further from just my name is Cynthia. take it a step further from myself. My name is Cynthia, and I am currently the team lead in X department. What's one more thing you can add on to that?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to say incremental steps, because sometimes it's hard when you give them a packet of things to go and do, right? Take baby steps, do it in increments, and also take a step back. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
You have to want it more than the person coaching you, right? It has to
Yeah.
be something that you want. You want to go above that ceiling. You want to go above the next level in your career. And in order to do that, we're going to have to take some steps so you can feel comfortable in that. Because the other piece, and I'll pause, is let's say you're going for a new job. On an interview, you have to be able to articulate who you are beyond just the job title that you held. If you
Yeah.
don't, people are only going to put jobs on you that they feel align with who they think you are.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I was just thinking about, the Gen Zers, they're coming in, they're in the workforce now. And a lot of times they are in these positions and they want to grow microwave speed,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like, okay, yes, this job may be temporarily where you're at, but see, like, what am I building right now? What skill set and I'm able to build right now that I'm also able to ask for different tasks, different projects to be on, different initiatives, whatever you want to, whatever that is. But being able to identify, okay, I know I want to get here. However, this is what I need in order for me to grow and not be put into that box of, hey, this person, I'm just going to have them come in and take notes. This may be your thing. That may be your end. That
Right.
may be absolutely your end, especially like someone that wants to get into leadership. You can offer, hey, boss, can I take notes while you guys are in a meeting? Because what you do, you just set yourself and put yourself in a room and separated yourself from everyone else by asking to take notes right then and there. That doesn't mean that's where you're going to stop, but at least you're in the room to see how people are navigating.
Right. That's a great point. And getting back to, the what I'll call the younger generation, right? Where the frustration comes in when they take that entry level job and assuming that entry level job reflects who they are.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is just for this point in time. Like you said, it's temporary. The job that you're in is for this moment, this season, this point in time. And you're in this season and in this role in order to grow and elevate to the next level. So allow this role to help you get those skills, to attain those strengths. Plant the seed, let it soak up all the water that you're getting from the experience, from the people around you, your network, and watch how you grow in this space to prepare you for the next opportunity. But, one other point, I know we're getting close on time. One other thing I like to share with people, and I've always said this to my teams that I've led, is you define your destiny. We started this fireside chat series today talking about how people will place opportunities in front of you or limit opportunities because of their perception of who
Mm-hmm.
you are. And I strongly encourage people to own their destiny. Don't accept just what you're handed. To our earlier point, learn how to articulate what you want. Start to understand what you offer and what skills you bring to the table so that you define your destiny and not just walk into what you're handed every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, we like to end this series with how we want to light the torch for the next person and the next generation. And that's my offering in terms of lighting the torch to any generation and any person, however you identify, is own your story and be the author and owner of your destiny. And thank you, Neil, for also chiming in there on Facebook. Yes, confidence is currency. It is a high value. As Neil shares in the comments, sometimes our abilities to achieve may deal with what we've accomplished versus knowing this is my time and I'm betting on faith and opportunity to design my life. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Neil. Thank you for joining us. Candace, I'm going to turn it to you as we get ready to close.
I love the fact that you said to own your destiny. That's literally something that I posted today about how you can, if you feel like you're getting overlooked,
Mm-hmm.
literally it is about make your own opportunities and just emphasizing on that. Um, so I would just say for me, when it comes to lighting the torch, is I honestly, I am a huge believer in having other people. Let me talk to the leaders because sometimes we are out of touch and out of tune from what our employees and the expectations, especially as new leadership comes in and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hop into their seats, not just have a conversation with them, literally hop into their seats, because then you'll be able to see exactly like what it is that they're going through from a day-to-day basis, and have these working, working groups and everything like that. But I'm huge on understanding by walking in somebody else's shoes, and by walking in somebody else's shoes, by whether it's your employees, even your boss, asking your boss, up and down, hop into your team seat, but then also to ask your boss, because ultimately I think as leaders we get kind of stuck in our same routine and making sure our team is okay, that we forget about ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so asking also to see exactly what's going on, like I mentioned earlier, can I just take notes? If you are a brand new leader and you're in leadership and you've never been there, ask your boss, can I take notes in your next meeting? And you just sit there. And so you can hear the way that they do things. But I think that's how it starts to change the perception of what people put you in. And I will also include on top of that is no. Start saying no. As
Absolutely.
bold as that may sound, but yes, if you are tired of doing something, the only way that you're going to be able to stop people's perception of what you do is by saying, no, I absolutely won't do this. However, this is what I can do in this situation. And let me know if you still need my assistance, because then you're taking control, exactly what Cynthia said earlier, of your destiny, and not allowing people to continue to put you in a box that you are trying to escape. So that's my to the next generation.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to add one more. Allyship would help with this topic also. If you see something, if you are in the room as a leader and opportunities are only being discussed for people because of their perception of one's identity, say something. As a leader, you have a role.
Mm-hmm.
Are we only extending that opportunity because of what they think someone is capable of, because of who they are and how far they think they can go? Speak up, say something. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. This is a great conversation. If it spoke to you, let us know in the comments. Hit the like button, do something, let us know, give us some feedback, send us a DM. And we want to keep this going, and we want to make sure it's meaningful for each of you. As you can see on the screen, we do have our social media handles out there. Follow us for more as we look to plant the seeds, and we want to keep lighting the torch for each one of you. We will be back 2 Thursdays from now, same place, same time. We hope to see you there. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Bye, y'all.